Thank you for joining today to learn more about how you can reduce communication risks within your organization with communication compliance. Identifying and remediating regulatory compliance and code of conduct policy violations in corporate communications is key for all organizations worldwide. Today, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how communication compliance can help you intelligently detect and act on policy violations in communication channels, as well as meet the needs of regulated organizations. So with that, let's dive in. The shift to remote work has certainly highlighted the need for compliance solutions. Workforces and education institutions are now conducting work remotely, and new collaboration platforms such as Microsoft Teams are being adopted. What we've heard from customers is that they need to ensure these communication platforms are compliant yet agile. So let's show you how communication compliance can help you meet those needs. Here we are within the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, where communication compliance lives. We're able to access the solution either directly through the displayed card or through the sidebar that lists Microsoft Compliance solutions. Let's click through the Sidebar Solution tab and then collapse the sidebar so that we have more space to work with. That link lands us on the Policies page, which is a great place to get started to manage all of your communication policies. To the right, you can see a list of our pre-configured policies, such as offensive language, which detects abusive language and harassment within your organization, sensitive information types, which can be used to help prevent unauthorized data leaks, as well as financial regulatory compliance, which detects communications that might contain information related to insider trading. To the left, you can see all of the existing communication policies that your organization has configured, with a view that includes the number of items pending review, the number of escalated items, resolved items, etc. To show you just how flexible the solution is to adapt to your specific organization's needs, I'll select Create a Policy and then hit Custom Policy, and a wizard will walk us step by step through the creation process. So first, we'll enter the name and description of the policy. And in this demo, let's monitor for insider trading. Next, we get to choose supervised users and reviewers. We have the ability to target all users under this policy or to customize the policy to narrow down to specific users and groups. Let's do the latter and target just Northwind traders, the sales team, and Lee Gu, our lead trading analyst. We can also exclude certain users and groups from being monitored. For example, the leadership team or our CEO. And then finally, we get to select the group of recipients who will investigate and remediate these violations. Our solution has rules-based access controls, so only this admin, Adele, and Alex W. are able to review the policy. Other role group options when configuring communication compliance include admin, analyst, investigator, and viewer. Depending on how you wish to manage your compliance policy and alerts, you can assign users to one or more groups, whatever best fits your compliance management requirements. Moving along in the creation process, we then get to choose locations and channels to monitor. Policies can be scoped to Microsoft 365 locations, including Exchange, Teams, Skype, and Yammer. Additionally, we're excited to announce the general availability of communication compliance in Government Community Cloud and Government Community Cloud High. We're also invested in enabling a rich ecosystem of third-party solutions. Those third-party data sources include Bloomberg Message, Instant Bloomberg, WhatsApp, SMS Text, Slack, and Zoom. You can scope your policies to ingest data from these connectors by going to the Data Connectors tab on the left-hand side of the screen. From there, you can click Add a Connector from our list of available sources, and you'll be provided step-by-step guidance to set up the data connector, including a terms of service agreement, login credentials, user mapping, and admin consent. Once these connectors are added, you can easily add to the list of locations you want to reason over in the policy setup process. For example, here I am back in the Choose Locations view and can see the connectors that I've added to my tenant. Since I want to get a broader view of violations with this policy, I'll select them all. Next, we get to choose what types of communications we want to look for. Communications can be monitored based on the direction they're sent, inbound, outbound, or internal. We can also set policy conditions to monitor for specific criteria in communications. So let's hit Add Condition and here you'll see the long list of items we can look for, such as specific words, recipient domains, attachment size, etc. This really allows you to fine-tune what communications will cause an alert. And since this policy is meant to detect insider trading, I'll select content contains any of these sensitive information types and pick from the 150 plus templates that are built in to detect specific patterns. Let's pick a few patterns such as routing numbers, credit card numbers, as well as lexicons with the dictionary terms I want to monitor for. We can also leverage machine learning for further detections. By clicking on Trainable Classifiers, you can see some of the global models built into the solution. Our pre-canned models, such as harassment, profanity, and threat, will pop up. We also know that bad behavior can extend beyond text-based messages, so we've shipped the ability to do image detection to detect adult, gory, and racy content in images. Additionally, up here at the top, you can see the two models that I've custom built, customer complaints and privacy breach. And for this insider trading policy, we'll want to select privacy breach. We understand that every organization's needs are different and that a keyword match strategy can be noisy. As such, communication compliance provides the ability to create your own model, train it, and publish it for use in your tenant. Let's quickly walk through what that process looks like. So over here, we'll click the data classification features. And these really help you gain insight into what's being classified so that you can set up the right policies to protect and govern data. Let's take a closer look. If we click into the Trainable Classifiers tab, we can see all of the classifiers available, two of which are the custom-built ones. We can click into the Privacy Breach custom-built classifier to understand accuracy marks, predictions, and iterations, as well as details associated with the classifier. Again, this helps you customize the solution for your unique compliance needs. If we jump back into the policy creation process, we can also filter out false positives or specific domains such as Google or a company-specific newsletter. And last but not least, we can tweak the review percentage to control the amount of content that's reviewed for the policy. In this case, we only want to sample 10% of the communications. Finally, we review before creating the policy, which will be up and running in just a few minutes. So let's switch gears now and show you how easy it is to investigate and remediate violations. We'll click into our insider risk policy and see an overview page that gives reviewers a good understanding of how much work there is on their plate. That being the age of pending items, top policy violators, as well as any unusual activity, and so much more. When we click into pending, we can see a slew of alerts that have yet to be remediated. And up here pops the first message in the queue between Grady and Alan. As you can see, communications are placed together in threads so that we can see the entire conversation, giving you better context during the investigation and remediation processes, instead of having to hunt to find the communication chain. At first glance, this message doesn't appear to contain any concerning information. However, when we click over into the text view, keyword highlighting drives the reviewer directly to the questionable communication, including do not share, secret deal, and a Visa credit card number. In addition to text, the solution also flags email attachments and gives you inline viewing of the attachment. Again, at first glance, when you see this rich view, you might not realize why the attachment was flagged. However, when we flip over to the source view, we again can select the orange tag on the right-hand side of the screen to navigate to the text flagged by the policy, saving the reviewer time and effort. Here you can see that the policy flagged a banking number, which is confidential information. The solution can also filter messages based on specific criteria. For example, date, sender, communication source. In this example, I want to filter just for Microsoft Teams messages. So here is the filtered view for Teams, where you can see another communication that was flagged for Grady. This again just indicates that he's violated our insiders trading policy more than once. From a code of conduct perspective, communication compliance can also detect communications that violate corporate communication policies. So in this view, we can see an offensive message that was sent over WhatsApp. Similarly, in Teams, we can see that Grady is sending inappropriate and harassing messages to Miriam. Now that you've seen a few views of the type of content we can detect, let's talk through the remediation process for this message so that you can gain more context around how you can triage violations. So again, Grady has sent harassing messages to Miriam. To investigate further, we can look at his user history to see other policy violations he's had in the past. And as you can see, he has violated code of conduct policies before. We can also see up here in the orange tag that our machine learning picked up on pattern detection, which is telling us that Grady has been showing repeated behaviors towards Miriam, suggesting a bullying pattern. Additionally, if we look at near duplicates alert, we can see he has sent similar messages to different recipients across teams and emails. These three views help the reviewer quickly detect patterns of related and repeated behavior, and the combination of these three views can really help the reviewer decide what to do next. If it were a first-time offense, you might want to send Grady a notification to remind him that he's violated the organization's code of conduct policy. You can see here that you can use a saved template. This really just helps to ensure that the notification wording is consistent. You can also create a custom template. But because Grady is a repeat offender, we would more likely escalate for another person to review on the compliance team. Escalations can be sent to managers, department leads, or anyone who's designated as an escalation reviewer for this type of alert. In the case of harassment, Grady's message might be very upsetting to Miriam, the recipient. The solution can now remove a message from Teams chat or channel so that Miriam does not have to continue to see the offensive message. Instead, the message will be removed from the Teams chat and replaced by a policy tip explaining that the message was removed due to sensitive content. In the more severe case of insider trading, we might want to select all related communications and notify admins who are designated to EDiscovery roles, saving a lot of legwork and time for the EDiscovery team. We do know from the legal perspective, the hardest part of EDiscovery is the actual discovery of the information. So by packaging up all the activity and communication data in communication compliance and sending it over to the EDiscovery team is a huge strength and savior of time with this solution. And just to give you a sense of what it looks like from an EDiscovery perspective, this view shows how the EDiscovery team will receive the escalation in our EDiscovery solution and take the action from there. At a high level, this demo showed you the power of the solution and its ability to help your organization not only meet regulatory compliance needs, but to also ensure a safe workplace for employees. These are only some of the many innovations we've delivered, with so much more to come. As you start to configure policies and investigate messages, we encourage you to reference our key resources, including technical documentation, our latest product announcements, and much more. Tune into our other communication compliance sessions to get a deep dive from both the regulatory compliance and code of conduct perspective, as well as how you can get the most out of our native Teams integration. Thank you for listening.